welcome to COXO Fee Webinar. This is Carol from COXO Sales Department. Hello, every dentist. I already saw a lot of comments in our webinar. Some of dentists from Cambodian, from Indian, and from Morocco, and many dentists is very interesting for this topic. They are very expected to learn this lecture now. So some dentists said, nice topic from Indian professional, and say good afternoon from Cambodian, and some say hello, sir. And I saw a lot of the common, very useful topics. So I think a lot of dentists is very, very exciting to learn this lecture. This time we invite Dr. Mandar from India. He is very professional, very famous dentist, doctors, professional in India. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Okay, now first I want to tell to the dentist, because everyone is very interested about this topic. I think you want to get the certificate, and this certificate we also have the signature by Dr. Mandar and also our company professional, our company president. Sorry. So first I want to tell all the dentists how to get this certificate. Okay, here is our step to get the certificate. Step one, you need to follow our COXO page and like as your page. And the second step, you need to leave your comment or question below the live video here. And at the end of this live show, we will show the phone link to the comment below the live video. Please open the link and fill the form and submit to apply the certificate. About 3 steps down, in 5 days later, you will receive the PDF form certificate in your email. And please note that the form application can be filled only one time and is available only for 5 hours. That is mean the link is only available for 5 hours. After the lecture, 5 hours later, the applicant form will be closed. So please fill the form as soon as possible after the webinar. And the second is very important information. The form cannot be modified, so you must be sure the information you left is correct. Okay, you can see here is the certificate sample, and we also will add the Dr. Mandar signature here, and also will write the topic of this time. Okay, that's all. And for this time, we also have invite our Indian partner, our dealer, Saramango, to this webinar. So first, I want to introduce our professional Dr. Mandar and Dr. Andy together. Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Dr. Mandar, you are very, very famous. I got a lot of comments, and everyone is very expecting your lecture. Very interesting topic, very useful topic. Okay, so later I also very interested in your topic. So later I hope you have a successful lecture. And Andy, first I want to give you some time to introduce your company, because we are partner in India. So now please show your PowerPoint, and I want to give you some minutes to introduce your company.
Sure. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hello, Mr. Sharabi. I see you after a long time. This is regarding our partnership with COXO. Sarvamangal Healthcare Private Limited and COXO had been together for a long period, and now we are the sponsors for IFIA World Endodontic Congress in Chennai. We welcome all the eminent dentists from India and abroad. Sarvamangal is basically a brand. We are combining with our vision. Sarvamangal is always good to all, and we try to live up to that. We are proactive, innovative, entrepreneurial, and we always care for the integrity and dignity of the profession. Sarvamangal Group consists of Sarvamangal Healthcare Private Limited, Sarvamangal Enterprises, where we deal with Indian products. So, Equipment Services, we are only doing the maintenance work and post-sale service work. So there is a complete team trained by COXO with us. So anybody who is having all COXO products, they can send it to us for maintenance and repairs. Sarvamangal Healthcare Innovation Center is a brand where we are doing a lot of research in various applications of dentistry, and Dr. B.N. Kulkarni Charitable Trust. The trust we run for the social causes. Sarvamangal basically is consists of board of directors from eminent companies like Larsen Toubro and many other companies have joined our director board. Then it comes to managing director and CEO. Then we have finance department, marketing division, dental material division, dental equipment division, and we have research and development division. So we also have some manufacturing activities we carry. Sarvamangal's vision is to build a stronger dental community prepared for all future challenges, to provide all the dental practitioners with the equipment that will keep them ahead, optimizing your treatment workflow, creating a platform for modern techniques and patient communication. Sarvamangal will constantly work to meet and exceed the expectations of our customers. Sarvamangal means effective solutions for dental practices and clinics. Our goal is to find new ways of offering something better than the best and providing our customers with ultimate smile that lasts forever. So we are together, Sarvamangal COXO, we are together in a lot of activities right from 2007, and we want to become a very respectable dental alliance. We are also, Sarvamangal represents various companies. COXO is already there in 158 plus countries. All these Natus, Zermac, Dentsply, Unident, Derby Atlanta, MCS, DMA, all these are COXO partners. And Sarvamangal is obviously looking after the Indian operations. So COXO has been here in dentistry from 2003, while Sarvamangal is here from 2000. Our association is very much growing stronger by day from 2007. Sarvamangal provides for the sales of COXO world-class equipment with the backup of the best service, ensuring the dentist to have peace of mind in usage of COXO equipment. So there are many equipments we deal with. So there are NITI files, one of the best files systems in the world. Then we have endomotors. COXO has 14 models of endomotors, and we are actually every time we are launching something first in the world. So shortly by end of this month, we'll be also launching CSmart pilot. CSmart One pilot is the first ever truly cordless apex locator and endomotor in the world. Then we have DB686 Nano, which is a light cure machine, and it also has inbuilt caries detector. We are one of the best apex locators. There are videos available comparing with J Morita and other equipment. So COXO is comparable to all the best equipment in the world. Then we have one of the best obturation systems. Probably we were the first to make it in Asia. So we have downpack and C-fill backfill. We have C Puma, which is an electric motor. Will be shortly also launching C Puma Master, which will be an electric motor along with Endo motor, expected to launch in the month of August in. Then we have a caries detector. We have alginate mixers. We make alginate mixers for many other companies. Then we are one of the pioneers for making physio dispensers in India. and we are giving special offers for this webinar also. So you just have to just give a call, and that's all. Sarvamangal Healthcare, there is a address is there. We are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. You can follow our Facebook page, Facebook/SHPL India. You can always contact us by email, WhatsApp, WeChat, mobile phones. We are always available. All the queries we will try to respond within 12 hours, and we will suggest the solution in 24 hours. We have COXO trained engineers with us, and please do contact us. We have special IFIA World Endodontic Congress discounts available for on all COXO products. Please contact Sarvamangal 98230 48686. Thank you very much. Over to you, Carol.
Many thanks for Andy for your interview about your company. So COXO and Sarvamangal is very close cooperation. We are cooperation for many years. So this time for the webinar, we also have the special
Special prizes.
If any Indian customer want to buy COXO product, please connect with Sarvamangal and also have the phone number here. And I also see a lot of the comment and everyone is very expected to Dr. Mandar lecture. So now this time, let's welcome to Dr. Mandar for this lecture because I saw you have a lot of fans, Dr. Mandar. Okay, now this time is for you.
Okay. So am I supposed to start?
Yeah, you need to
share. I need to share the screen, right?
You need to share the screen. Okay. Your screen.
Here we go.
Yeah, I saw it now. I will add to the screen. Okay. Okay, now it's time for Dr. Mandar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Carol. And a very good afternoon from India. And I see a lot of messages here, people joining in from various parts of the globe. And thank you to Sarvamangal Healthcare, Mr. Anirudh, for the lovely introduction, and COXO for giving me this opportunity. So let's gear up for this session, which is endodontic irrigation and disinfection solutions and strategies from India. So if you look at these, some of the images here, which is this is a very common situation which we face in the clinic, where the root canal or endodontic procedure has been done before, but there is a growing lesion. There is a growing periapical lesion which was not there. So we definitely do not want to fall into this situation. Situation number two, where the obturation is quite looking perfect to near perfect, but still the lesion keeps on growing and it is not healing. And the third situation, where you have two separated instruments already in the tooth and the distal canal not properly shaped to the terminus, the lesion is growing. And the surprising part is the patient is having no symptoms at all. And the fourth situation, where reasonably good endo but restorative failure. So we are now looking at four situations here. So the question is whether we have really understood the disinfection of the root canal system or not. Because in situation 3, the lesion is quite big enough. There are two separated instruments, but an excellent coronal seal has prevented from all the symptoms to the patient. So maybe we are really not very sure. We are dealing with complex anatomy that we need to understand completely before we venture into doing any root canal procedure. So there are, I'm going to divide this presentation into three parts. That is, what are the challenges which we face? then what irrigation solutions we are going to use, and disinfection strategies. But remember the bottom line which is written on this slide. Irrigation refers to use of antimicrobial solutions to clean the root canal system during instrumentation. The disinfection only begins after the master apical size preparation is done, and then you can use different strategies to disinfect the root canal system. So irrigation and disinfection are two different aspects of the endodontic treatment. So let's look at some of the challenges. What challenges we have on our hands? We have a lot of uninstrumented uh, parts in the root canal system. Every dentinal tubule can act as a canal, and there are millions of them to deal with. We have to clear the smear layer, that is accumulated hard tissue debris. We have to deal with isthmus shaping and cleaning. We have to dissolve the organic matter from within main body of the canal and the lateral canals, and we have to deal with mono and multi-species biofilm. Now, if you look at this image here on the right side of the screen, and I hope you can see the pointers, this premolar has multiple portals of exit. Now, you tell me which part of the root canal system which you will be instrumenting, where your instrument will contact in the root canal walls. But these remaining portals of exit will have to be treated chemically at some point of time, because we really do not have files which will enter into these the portals of exit. So these are some of the set of challenges we have on our hand. If you look at this video now, wherein you will see that the file while rotating in the canal do not touch on all the canal walls, right? So also when it is rotating, there is no solution in the apical 1/3. So that's classical apical vapor lock effect. When the file is rotating in the canal, it is pushing the debris into the inaccessible areas, the apical splits, the dentinal tubules, and the lateral canals. So it is important for us to disinfect the instrument, and irrigation go hand in hand. Now, if you look at the section tooth, while the file is rotating in the canal, it is generating accumulated hard tissue debris. And then a smear plug gets formed, which blocks further penetration of your antibacterial solutions. And that is why time and again we need to replenish the root canal system in between two files, not only by irrigation with the conventional syringe and needle, but also to activate and have some shear stress generated on the canal walls so that these smear plugs will be dislodged. If you are able to prevent the smear layer or smear plugs to get formed on the root canal walls, the dentinal tubules and the lateral canals will be patent enough to receive the antibacterial solutions. So in this video, I have tried and explained you that why it is important for us to irrigate and disinfect the root canal system, because we are with a concept which is instrument shape and irrigants clean. And if you look at this tooth here, which was treated by me, and it had to be extracted, and just to see what actually went wrong, I cleared that tooth and saw that I did not treat this interconnection, I did not treat this mesial third, and I packed a lot of debris. So although the radiograph was showing a good obturation, but the case was failing. So we need an effective irrigant which must reach the apex, create a current, and remove the debris out. So that is what we are looking at. So let's look at some of the anatomical complexities which we are dealing with. This is a mesial root of the lower molar, and the mesial third emerges from the mesiobuccal. Now, essentially, this is my uninstrumented portion. Then these are apical splits. there are distal ramifications. This is a very complex premolar anatomy. There are multiple portals of exit. There can be lateral canals. So these are anatomical complexities which we are dealing with. But yes, whether we have this strategy to deal with these apical ramifications or lateral canals, and I must say that we should not run behind getting those lateral fills and filling those apical ramifications. But yes, we have to fill those apical ramifications and lateral canals when they are contributing to the periapical disease. So whenever you have lateral lesion, whenever you have periradicular lesion, when you see a periradicular lesion like this, it is almost sure that not a single portal of exit can deposit so much of endotoxins to form such a huge lesion. So when you see a bulbous root, when you see a periradicular lesion, when you see a furcation lesion, when you see the apical splits, then that is the time where you have to intentionally clean and disinfect that portion of the root canal system, maybe chemically, not by mechanical instrumentation. But the mechanical instrumentation plays important role, because unless you shape one of the portal of exit, your irrigants will never flow into the apical splits. So yes, you can treat these apical splits and the apical ramifications when it is actually needed. So it is a part of your strategy. When you see a preoperative radiograph, you have to form a strategy that, yes, what am I dealing with? Am I dealing with a big lesion? Am I dealing with lateral canals? Am I dealing with periradicular lesion? And then have a strategy to deal with that particular tooth. Now, if you look at this image here, and that is a completely root canal wall completely covered with a smear layer. Now, when you form a smear layer, now the smear layer is not existing. You and me create that smear layer with the rasping action of an endodontic file, whether it is rotating or whether it is reciprocating. So it is our job for not to form the smear layer and constantly keep on dissolving it. So if you have a situation like this where your entire root canal wall is covered with the smear layer, there is no chance that your antibacterial solutions will penetrate into the dentinal tubules. And as you can see here, E. faecalis and other microorganisms can go and sit about 600 micrometer deep into the dentinal tubules. So if you have something which is blocking this root canal wall and which is blocking the dentinal tubules and the lateral canals, no way you are going to have any penetration of your antibacterial solution where it is actually needed. So that is why it is intentional cleaning and intentional three-dimensional cleaning. So what is smear layer? Smear layer is comprised of organic and inorganic material which offers protection to biofilms. Smear layer also promotes colonization of P. nigricans to dentinal matrix and increases the chance of reinfection. It also interferes with the adaptation of sealer to dentinal walls and promote microleakage. So it is important for us to remove the smear layer, which will reduce the potential for microleakage and which will improve the sealer penetration. So dealing with smear layer is also an important strategy when you're doing an endodontic procedure. So these were the biological challenges which we saw, but there are some challenges which are related to the fluid dynamics in the root canal system, and those are apical vapor lock. I think I showed you in the earlier video what actually the vapor lock is, and there is the stagnation plane, and we need to know the depth of our irrigation. So what is vapor lock? Vapor lock is something, a phenomenon where there are some gases which are formed when we use sodium hypochlorite, and it starts to hydrolyze the pulp tissue, and then the gases gets trapped at the apical end. Law of physics: where there is air, you cannot penetrate liquid into the air unless you break it open. So there are three methods listed here. One is by acoustic microstreaming. You can break this apical vapor lock, or by way of apical negative pressure, which I am going to talk in detail today, and irrigation needle at or extremely close to the working length. But being a positive pressure irrigation, the last method will produce high chances of extrusion of sodium hypochlorite into the periapical tissues, and then it is an sodium hypochlorite accident, which none of the clinician can afford to have in their day-to-day practice. So a diagrammatic presentation here of what the apical vapor lock is like when we do the irrigation and dispense the solution into the root canal system. There will always be a vapor lock of 1 to 2 millimeters where there will not be any solution available. That is related to the stagnation plane, a great theory by Dr. Gulabiwala, where when we use the side vented needle and dispense the solution is inactive above the tip of the needle by 1 millimeter. So the solution is just going to trickle down. It will not be pulled into the deeper into the root canal unless you apply some pressure. But we really do not want to apply any pressure while doing positive pressure irrigation to avoid the solution to be traveling into the periradicular tissues. So the question is, how do we get rid of this apical vapor lock? One is I already told you, that is acoustic microstreaming with the help of passive ultrasonic irrigation or sonic activation or apical negative pressure. These are the three ways where you can actually break this apical vapor lock and make your solution available into that apical 1/3 area. Now, regarding the depth of irrigation, we must know that what type of needle we are going to use for irrigation. The beveled needles are a big no-no, that one should avoid using these. If you are using side vented, it should be side vented and not the side cut, because this is the weakest portion, and in curved canals it can easily break at this point. And these are some of the negative pressure cannulas, which one of my device has that for negative pressure. So it is 30 gauge needle what is advisable, because it is corresponding to 30 ISO K file. So that is what we are looking at. Placing the irrigation needle in last 1 to 2 millimeters or 0 to 1 millimeter, the needle should be lying passively into the working length from 0 to 1 millimeter, and then you can deliver the irrigating solution very safely. But still there are some fluid dynamics where you positive pressure irrigation will not allow you to do that. So let's see what is there in store for us in terms of information about the negative pressure. Coming to causes of failure, and there it is divided into, I would say, macroorganism and microorganism, because macroorganism is you and me who causes this iatrogenic causes. And microbial causes are real microbial challenges where we are dealing with the biofilms or organized biofilms, which is a big challenge. So root canal infections accounts to about 60 to 65% failures. Lack of knowledge of internal anatomy is 9 to 11%. And you can see here a premolar, how complex this is actual pulp which has been taken out from the tooth. And then you can see there are interconnections, there are splits, there is a lot of pulp tissue to deal with. So we have to dissolve all this pulp tissue and then maybe replace it with an obturation material. And inadequate cleaning accounts to about 50 to 55%, which is quite alarming. So we must pay attention to irrigation and disinfection. uh, to reduce this percentage of failure due to inadequate cleaning. And how many times we come across with these kind of lesions in day-to-day practice. Now I am going to repeat this because a periradicular lesion like this, a periradicular lesion like this, a canal suddenly disappearing, indicative of apical split or severe curvature or an extra root. A periapical lesion like this, a periapical lesion like this, why I'm showing you? Because I'm going to show you all of them healed, and a periradicular lesion like this. Now in all this situation where you can see here it has a two root, this is two rooted premolar, and being a bulbous root and periradicular lesion, you will see that it is uh, an apical split. Now you will see those cases healing in later part of the presentation. So apart from doing only root canal procedure, everybody loves to play around curvatures and negotiate the curvatures. But yes, we have to remember the biological considerations. And this is what we want to achieve every time, from this situation, this situation to a healed situation. So when you initiate your endodontic procedure and have a protocol of irrigation and disinfection, the tissues will respond to your treatment, and then you will see these big lesions healing, and you will have all the follow-ups of these cases. So I want everyone to have this biological considerations while doing endodontic procedure. So these were the set of challenges, and these are the set of challenges which we have to overcome in day-to-day practice when we do endodontic procedure. So coming to irrigating solutions. Now I'm not going to discuss too much about irrigating solutions because it's a global consensus that sodium hypochlorite is the gold standard antimicrobial and proteolytic agent to be used while doing endodontic procedure. Only thing I want to clear out about the chlorhexidine 2% being an irrigating solution, I would say it is better used as intracanal medicament rather than intracanal irrigant because of its sustaining action. Chelating agents, yes, we have strong chelating agents and we have mild chelating agents. I'm going to talk about etridonic acid because it is one of my formulations which is patented. So just remember that 6% hypochlorite was only able to completely remove the biofilm and prevent its growth. So we are not getting away by not using sodium hypochlorite in coming times unless and until we find something else to replace that. But there are also some of the combinations which are available, which is a combination of EDTA and detergents. Chlor Extra is again detergents. We have Tetra Clean, we have MTAD, we have Qmix. But if you read through the literature, it has been completely and clearly mentioned that unless and until sodium hypochlorite was used, all these combinations were not effective. So we cannot replace sodium hypochlorite. Of course, yes, you can add something to it to make a formulation, which I am going to reveal it to you now. Many of you must be using them, or many of you must be knowing about it. To the left of your screen, I have just enumerated the irrigation sequence during and after instrumentation. So EDTA gel during hand instrumentation, which is for establishing the glide path, then a flush of normal saline, then irrigate with 3% or 5% hypochlorite warm. I'm going to discuss in great details about warming hypochlorite today. And during rotary instrumentation, I would prefer to use sodium hypochlorite 3% or 5% because sodium hypochlorite, whether it is combined with etridonic acid or not, it is an excellent lubricant. And I would not advise to use EDTA gel while doing the rotary or reciprocating instrumentation. There are two reasons behind it. One is when you use the gel, it accumulates too much of hard tissue debris, and gels are very difficult to refresh. So liquids are easy to refresh. Secondly, when you already have used EDTA in the form of gel, to achieve a reproducible glide path. Once you have achieved a glide path, and when you are switched to rotary instrumentation, you really don't require any chelating action. In fact, if you use EDTA in too much of quantity, it can erode the dentin because it is a strong chelating agent. So after that, normal saline, then liquid EDTA 17% to remove the smear layer. Now, in conventional or traditional irrigation protocol, sodium hypochlorite cannot remove the smear layer because it is inorganic component. But we have to use liquid EDTA to remove the smear layer. So that is why we alternate sodium hypochlorite in between normal saline, and then we use liquid EDTA to remove the smear layer. And also we must understand sodium hypochlorite reacts with each and every reagent which we use. It reacts negatively with liquid EDTA. Then, of course, after your master apical file preparation is done, activation with negative pressure or sonic or ultrasonic, which we will see in later part of the presentation, and then a wash of normal saline to remove all the remnants from the root canal. Liquid EDTA for 1 minute in the end, preferably with activation with sonics or ultrasonics, and then normal saline with activation. So this is a conventional irrigation protocol. Now, I'm going to introduce one concept which is called as continuous chelation. If you want to replace all these reagents and have a solution which is called as single step irrigation solution, you may look at the video which is there on YouTube on my channel, where it is shown how to mix it. It is basically a mild chelating agent, and it is mixed with sodium hypochlorite, and then it becomes a single step irrigation solution. So there is no need to remember a sequence. Now that's a concept called as continuous chelation. Because etidronic acid is mild chelating agent, it has a short compatibility window with sodium hypochlorite, say about 120 minutes. So when you freshly mix this, it is supplied in capsules, it is in powder form, it is 9% etidronic acid, and it is to be mixed with 10 ml of sodium hypochlorite, preferably 3%. And to make a solution of 10 ml, you have to break open 2 capsules. So for all the details, you can watch the video on YouTube, because I don't want to spend too much of time on showing you the mixing video. But it's a great concept, and it has been patented by me, and the product name is TwinClean, and that is continuous chelation, where it is there are a couple of studies which confirms that it is less erosive to the dentin. It is better in smear layer removal as compared to combination of sodium hypochlorite and EDTA. It has got better anti-biofilm activity, and it is suitable to all irrigation protocols or all sealers, whether it is resin based, whether it is bioactive or bioceramic sealers. And that's the patent which I received last year, and it is going to be for 20 years. So this was all about irrigating solutions. Now you have two options. One is the conventional irrigation protocol, which I just showed you, or if you want to switch to continuous chelation, where you have to use only one solution and no need to alternate the solutions. And it has been extremely effective. If you look at these the radiographs, and why I'm showing you this, the particular advantage of continuous chelation is that it does not allow the smear layer to form. I repeat, it does not allow the smear layer to form. And if the smear layer is not formed at all, the dentinal tubules are patent enough to receive your hypochlorite and have better penetration into the dentinal tubules. And that is why you can see, I don't know, this is one lateral canal and then into dentinal tubules or splitting further. And this is C-shaped. So you are having a disinfection strategy for dentinal tubules where you are increasing your penetration by way of using continuous chelation. So it's a clinician's choice whether you want to stick to a conventional protocol or switch to the continuous chelation. Anyways, after the irrigating solutions part, let's talk about disinfection strategies. Now, disinfection strategies will definitely depend on your shaping strategy. Unless you have a strategy to shape the root canal, you are not going to think about cleaning it completely. So here are two guidelines which I follow in my day-to-day practice. That smaller the apical diameter, initial apical diameter, you can increase the taper. And bigger the apical diameter to start with, smaller should be the taper. Now, if you look at these, this is a lower incisor. This is a view which we get on our radiographs, and this is the view mesiodistal which we never get. So everybody keeps on thinking about working length. Nobody thinks about the working width. So it is advisable to take 3 radiographs in 3 different angulations and assess the width of the root. Now, if that width of the root and this apical diameter is small and the root is thick enough, I think you can increase the taper, because remember, taper decides the volume of irrigant. And volume of irrigant is one of the most critically important factor when it comes to irrigation and disinfection. So initial apical gauge should allow you to assess and decide that what taper or what preparation you will end with for that particular case or that particular route. So it's not system dependent. It does not mean that if you are using 4% system, you will stick to it. No, you will be surprised to see some of the studies which says what taper is best. So let's look at further. This is one of the study which says that determination of minimum instrumentation size for penetration of irrigants to the apical third of the root canals. Now, if you look at situation 1, that is 2004, the situation 2 is 2504, and situation 3 is 2506. Now, if you remember, I told you about depth of irrigation. A 30 gauge needle should be lying passively in 0 to 1 millimeter of your working length. So if you are preparing 2004, how far your irrigation needle, that is 30 gauge, will be away from the critical apical zone? You assess yourself and see. If you are doing 2504 preparation, then you assess that 30 gauge needle, because when you talk about taper, this is 25. If it is 4 taper, it is increasing by 4 units. So 1 millimeter will be 29. Another 1 millimeter will be 33. And if you look at the situation that is 2506, your 30 gauge needle or 29 gauge needle will be lying in 0 to 1 millimeter of your working length to deliver the antibacterial or irrigating solutions safely into that critical apical zone, because most of the infected dentin will be present in that critical apical 1/3 zone. So you have to assess that what kind of shape you are going to cut into the root canal so that you can clean it completely. Now, if you look at this one more study, where you can see ISO 20, ISO 25, ISO 30, and ISO 35, which is combined with a taper of 6. And you will be surprised to know that the canals were cleanest when they were shaped up to a taper of 6. So it's a moderate taper, but many clinicians have a fear of going to taper 6 and they stick to taper 4. But let's not generalize, and let's not generalize a protocol where everybody will think, no, let me stick to 4%. Fine, in some of the cases, you may have to stick to 4% where the roots are slender. I am not generalizing a statement that 6% is the only taper to be followed, but my suggestion is, if the root canal anatomy or width of the root is allowing you to cut more dentine, then try and reach 6% where you will have effortless cleaning. If you are sticking to 4%, you may have to do additional efforts. Of course, we have now sonics, ultrasonics, other methods of activation of irrigants. But then 4% is really not enough to have cleanest of the canal. And since I'm going to talk about the negative pressure in great details today, you will see 4004 is the most amount of irrigation which was exchanged while doing apical negative pressure. So what is the apical negative pressure? I will be talking in detail today. So now a point of controversy. Now everybody says, oh, 6 taper is a big taper, 4 taper is a smaller taper. But if you remember the first line of my slide, that smaller the apical diameter, greater can be the taper. Wider the apical diameter, smaller should be taper. That is by rule. Because if the roots are thin and slender and the apical diameter is around 30 to start with, you cannot afford to have a taper of 6 because there will be no root left. So when you increase the apical diameter, you reduce the taper. So all those who say 4 taper is conservative and 6 taper is destructive, here is a comparison. If you're looking at a situation of 3504, after 1 millimeter it is becoming 39, and for 3006 it is becoming only 36. Here it is 43, here it is 42. So which is more destructive? Maybe if you are increasing the apical diameter, the 3504 is more destructive. And why? Because most of the variations in the anatomy is in apical 1/3. And I want to keep my apical diameter as small as practical and play with the taper so that I can have better penetration and better activation of irrigants. So there are two schools of thought, no doubt about it. One believes in keeping the apical diameter as small as practical and increase the taper. The second school of thought is you increase the apical diameter and keep the taper smaller. But if you have a strategy to right from the beginning, if you know the apical diameter, you can decide taper on your own for that particular tooth. Now, once we have understood about the shaping strategy, that what taper we will be deciding for that particular root, then we come to the strategies with which we are actually going to disinfect the root canal system. First is manual dynamic agitation. Then is passive ultrasonic irrigation, that is Ultrasmart, which is recently introduced, and it is an excellent device. Sonic activation, the commonest example is the endo activator. Air sonics, I have invented and designed a couple of them. One is PATS and the second is PATS Vario. Negative pressure irrigation, this was my first, what you can say, passion for disinfection in 2013-14. I designed and invented a device. Then intracanal heating and light activated or lasers. The light activated or lasers we will not be discussing in this presentation. Manual dynamic agitation for all the newcomers, I think it is the simplest way of activating an irrigant by selecting a master cone and pouring irrigant into the prepared canal and having short strokes of amplitude longitudinally to push the irrigant into the apical 1/3 by breaking the apical vapor lock. So let's primarily discuss about the factors governing irrigation and disinfection. One is the volume, the second is concentration, then is refreshment, then is activation, and then lastly is temperature. Now volume, if you increase the volume, you will be delighted with the outcome. Now, there is nothing mentioned in the literature that this much volume should be used, but Schilder used about 39 ml of hypochlorite per visit, which is combined with apical patency and activation. Concentration, lesser the concentration, you will have to increase the volume. Higher the concentration, you may settle down for a lesser volume. Ideally, 3% or 5%, which is available commercially, can be used. Refreshment, now everyone should remember that hypochlorite, when it comes in contact with the organic matter, it degrades very fast. So within or less than a minute, it has become a normal saline because all the free available chlorine is lost. So removing or evacuating the old hypochlorite and introducing the fresh will be more advisable, and it is critically important. Activation, we are going to look into the activation methods in next couple of slides. And temperature also, yes, I'm going to discuss this aspect in great details. Now, if you look at these factors governing the irrigation and disinfection, these are some of the these are the components of irrigation and disinfection. What if I tell you, if you get everything in one device, which will have volume, which will have concentration, which will have refreshment, which will have activation, and which will have temperature control? So that's the Endo Irrigator Plus, which was way back launched, but now this device will be made by COXO. And let's look at the concept, what I actually want to convey you. Now, this was the first concept which I thought about: continuous irrigation and evacuation with negative pressure. Now, this is a positive pressure irrigation. So we place the needle, we deliver the irrigating solution, and as you can see here, there is an apical vapor lock. Because do not apical 1/3 region, and that is why we need some activation or some agitation method to make that irrigating solution available in this apical 1/3. And it is believed that rasping action of the file will push some solution, but no, the file is not customly fitting into the canal. Now, in order to make this solution available in apical 1/3, if you apply pressure, you are going to have hypochlorite accidents in your practice. So this is one of the disadvantage of positive pressure irrigation. Remember, the conventional irrigation, which we do with syringe and needle, is called as positive pressure. Negative pressure is something where it is opposite of the positive pressure. Now, how? Let's look at this animation. In negative pressure, you place a cannula first, which has micro holes at the tip. And then either you deliver the solution manually to the pulp chamber, or it is automated. Now, this cannula is attached to a suction. Now, once this cannula is attached to a suction and the vacuum is on, and when you deliver the solution first travels down till this point, and then it is evacuated because the cannula has a suction effect. So that's the apical negative pressure concept. Now, in this, at no point of time, the solution will travel into the apical or periradicular tissues. So it is extremely safe. Secondly, you're going to suck out all the air. So you are breaking that apical vapor lock very effectively. And then once This cycle is complete, and then you can again evacuate and dry the canal by placing the cannula. Now, this was a very common, a very popular product which was there in the market, which was EndoVac. But my concept is something different than that. It is continuous irrigation. So it is automated and continuously evacuation with negative pressure. But one factor which is combined there is the warm hypochlorite. So when you switch the machine on, it will supply warm hypochlorite, which is 50 degrees warm. So if you are looking at the screen now, this is positive pressure irrigation, where you place the needle into the canal and you deliver the irrigation solution at a deeper portion and evacuate at the chamber portion. Have I made myself very clear? Positive pressure irrigation is placing a needle into the canal, delivering the solution, and then it is sucked out at the chamber level. That is positive pressure. As compared to that, when you talk about negative pressure, which you just saw, you place a cannula which is attached to a suction and pour the solution into the chamber. So the solution is actually evacuated in the apical 1/3. So it acts as a pressure wash while the solution is moving around the cannula, and that actually causes a shear stress on the canal walls. So any activation, whether it is sonic, ultrasonic, or apical negative pressure, should generate some shear stress on the canal walls if you are dealing with organized biofilms, to disrupt the biofilms, and then you can have more penetration of your antibacterial solutions. This was study done by Dr. Prasanna Neelkanthan, and he compared it with the conventional irrigation, the continuous warm activated irrigation and evacuation system, manual dynamic, and passive ultrasonic irrigation. If you see a picture here, diagram D, whereas all other left behind some pulp tissue or debris into the isthmus region. So what we are looking at, continuously delivering a solution which is warm at 50 degrees, and also it is activated with negative pressure, and it is extremely safe, and it has a temperature of 50 degrees. There are a couple of other studies, if you want to read further on this, that apical negative pressure is thought to be the best because it travels till the point of cannula, and then it generates, the solution generates a shear stress on the canal walls. Now, if you compare this method with penetration, that is the acoustic microstreaming or ultrasonic, it is inversely depending on the surface area of the file touching on the root canal wall. In short, in a simple way, it means that when you use ultrasonic or passive ultrasonic irrigation tip, if you happen to touch the tip while it is activating on the canal walls, you are going to lose the acoustic microstreaming. That's by law. So only apical negative pressure could remove the debris from multiplanar canals, and debridement wise, apical negative pressure was always better. Now, if you want to have a look at this video here, two of them, you will be able to see what exactly that device works. It is delivering 50 degrees warm hypochlorite, and this is first you use the positive pressure. That is why the tip is shorter in length. So with this, you are evacuating all the macro debris. So when you use the negative pressure cannula, there are less chances of blocking the holes on the cannula. And once you are done with the master apical file, Then the cannula is placed into the canal, and you can see warm hypochlorite is being dropped into the chamber, and it is sucked at the apical 1/3 and evacuated with that cannula. So this leaves behind a completely clean canal because you are treating the whole length of the canal. And that is the beauty of apical negative pressure. So when you get a device, something which will have a greater volume, because here the flow rate is about 5 ml per minute. So if you use 3 minutes, you have already used about 15 ml of warm hypochlorite, and that too with activation and negative pressure. So refreshment, concentration, heating, and activation, all components involved or required components for irrigation and disinfection are supplied in a device which you can operate with one click. So here now you can see the activation here. The negative pressure cannula is placed at the prepared canal, and since the suction is inbuilt, you really do not require any external suction, and you can see the cleanliness of the canal. So you can combine it with some other activation form. In some of the cases it is required, in some of the cases it is really not required to combine it with some other strategy. Going further, you will again see a couple of videos. Now this is shared by Dr. Vivek Hegde. You can see the cannula is placed inside the canal, and it is dropping the solution, which is 50 degrees warm. Here you can see how it enters into the lateral canal. So this is without activation. This is only apical negative pressure. So we are not activating the needle tip. It is only solution which is flowing with the apical negative pressure, which has got about minus 200 millimeters of mercury pressure. So with this, it is a pressure wash, and you actually clean all the inaccessible areas in the root canal system. And even if it is an upper tooth or a maxillary tooth, there will not be any spilling of the solution because it is equipped with suction which is inbuilt. So that's a device which we are looking forward to be launched very soon, and it has been also patented by me. So and now then, coming to the most important part and controversial part on heating of hypochlorite. Now we all know that if you increase the temperature of hypochlorite, even 1% hypochlorite will work as effectively as 5.25 at room temperature. So we are going to compare the extracanal heating, the intracanal heating, and delivering or pouring 50 degrees heated hypochlorite, which you just saw in the previous video. Now there are controversies, like if you use hypochlorite which is preheated at about 66 degrees. For everybody's information, above 60 degrees hypochlorite is unstable. So even if you use a heater to heat it about 66 degrees, the temperature of the solution falls down when it enters into the canal to about 45 degrees after 5 seconds, to 37 degrees about in 60 seconds, and to 35 degrees about 240 seconds later. So these are some of the findings which researchers found, that extracanal heating of hypochlorite, it drops down to the body temperature very quickly. And then there was this concept of intracanal heating by Woodmansey and Alfredo, that they suggested that you heat the hypochlorite in the canal. Okay, fine. But then we also did one study where we used a down pack pen which was activated at 150 degrees, 180 degrees, and 200 degrees. And you will be surprised to see the results. It was activated for maximum 4 seconds, and you could only reach to a temperature of 56 degree. At 180 degree, you could only reach up to 65. At 200 degrees, you could reach only up to 68.6. So by doing intracanal heating, you are not increasing temperature to a great extent. In fact, if you increase it to a great extent, there will be irreparable damage to the PDL. So what is better? Is it better to continuously deliver 50 degrees warm, which has refreshment, which has got more volume? In intracanal heating, you need to replenish the solution time and again. But with this continuous irrigation and evacuation concept, now this is one study which you are looking at, and I am in no non-disclosure agreement that I should not reveal where this study was published and when it will publish. But it was compared with the continuous activated irrigation device and compared with Endovac, and you will see that continuous warm activation and evacuation left behind cleanest of the dentinal tubules, which was devoid of any smear layer. So we have to make a choice that what we really want to do. And then you will see these lesions. These are hard to treat lesions. And here you definitely need more than one strategy to deal with this periapical lesions. And when you do that, you will see that big lesion is disappeared. Even this is showing healing, as there was this tiny lateral which was missing. The big palatal lesion is also healed. The broken instrument bypassed, and it was not failing because of that. It was failing because untreated lateral anatomy. And then you will have this apical ramifications filled and this periapical lesion healed. So if you have a shaping strategy in place, you know what to up to what point you are going to shape. You will have then a cleaning strategy. So coming to further two methods or two strategies of disinfection, one is ultrasonics and the air sonics or pure sonics. Now ultrasonics, they operate at higher frequency and lesser amplitude. You cannot see file actually oscillating or vibrating. It is beyond audible frequency. The file has multiple nodes and antinodes along the length of the file. It will allow efficient removal of debris by having acoustic streaming. And there are some limitations with ultrasonic. The tips are made of metal, so it is difficult to use in curved canals. They work best in wide canals because free movement of the tip create hydrodynamic shear stress. And if you remember my earlier slide, the PUI, passive ultrasonic irrigation, is inversely dependent on how much you touch the canal walls when you want to generate acoustic microstreaming. So the moment you touch the canal walls, the acoustic streaming may be lost. And then we compare sonics and air sonics. Sonics, they operate at higher amplitude, which could be up to 1 millimeter, and lesser frequency. You can see the file or the tip oscillating when you're using pure sonics. It has got one node and one antinode at the tip. They are made of polymer. They are safe as compared to ultrasonics, but less effective and maintains the normal canal anatomy. Now, a couple of years back, I thought, why not to have something which falls in between ultrasonics and sonics. Of course, there were a couple of products available in the market which worked on air sonics concept, but we developed one concept, and that is pro agitator tip system, wherein being sonic, it generates extended oscillations at the tip and frequency on the body of the tip. So it's a combination. It could go as safety, efficiency of ultrasonics and safety of sonics, and the tips are made of polymer. Coming to ultrasonics, now Ultrasmart, which is recently launched, and it is a pure ultrasonic. It has got about 38 kilohertz frequency, which is quite efficient. The tips are made of titanium. The taper is 2 and the tip size is 25. So where would I would love to use this Ultrasmart is where The roots are relatively straight. The roots are relatively wide, where I can freely activate or vibrate my ultrasmart tip without engaging into the canal, and especially the palatal canals, where I can freely activate or agitate this ultrasmart. So you have to make a choice that what strategy you are going to plan for that particular uh, case. So look at this video that's using ultrasmart for activation, 1 minute per canal. Post, once you have done with your master apical file, 1 minute is minimum. And now the feature ultrasmart has that it has got a cycle of auto stop cycle, and it gives you a beep after every 20 seconds. It has got an LED light, which is convenient, but since I work under magnification with the microscope, that's not an issue. So ultrasmart, yes, definitely. Ultrasonics you have to use wherever it is suitable to use. Now, in a very thin and curved canals, where you cannot take these metal tips beyond a curvature because it can separate or alter the canal anatomy, then it is advisable to use the air sonics, where the tips are extremely flexible. They are made of polymer. This has been invented and designed by me, and it has got now 3 different uh, ISO size tips: 2003, 2503, and 3003. So you will appreciate here how it cleans the interconnection and clears the debris out. So you have to make a choice that what type of canal anatomy you're dealing with, and then have a strategy to completely clean and disinfect, where you can see that it is cleaning the interconnection and the isthmus between two canals. So limitations of ultrasonic is something where you are dealing with the curved canals, where you have a fear of separation of the metal tips. But literature wise, ultrasonics remains the best way of activation of irrigants, but with few limitations to it. So the other option is the air sonics or pure sonics. So in situations like these, where you have thin slender roots, now here I will never venture into increasing my taper to 6. I will stick to 4 taper, and SE profiles are extremely flexible, and they are very user friendly sequence. So even if you are finishing your preparation with 2504, you still can get lateral anatomy filled. Now everybody asks me, how do you get these lateral canals filled? What different do you do? My answer will be, I do not do anything different. I just spend some more time, probably what you are not spending. There was one question here which I saw, that do you prefer single visit or 2 visit endodontics? Now, let me tell you very frankly, I am not a very big fan of 1 visit endodontics. I normally prefer 2 visits, or depending on the periapical lesions, whether it requires more visits. The reason for being 2 visit endodontics is, one, it gives me a second chance to look at the anatomy whether I have missed something. The second is I get to know the response by the patient for the treatment which I have initiated. And third is I can increase my irrigation and disinfection time. And that is most important reason for me to do 2 visit endodontics. Because my second visit is only disinfection, only irrigation. I do not touch files in second visit, because all the preparation has been completed in the first visit, and I select my master cones and keep it. And next visit is only cleaning, cleaning, and cleaning. So that's how you can increase your disinfection time and have predictable results. And then where if you are dealing with the curved canals like this, then maybe you need something which is very flexible, to activate. Pats Vario is one of those where you can very safely take it into the curved canals and activate. And if you are doing retreatments, which I do quite often, you need something to cut your crowns. And this C-Smart C Puma Master is my workhorse now since the time I have received it. It has got excellent torque and cuts the crowns like butter, and it has also got an endo mode. Anyways, coming back to this case, this was a revised treatment. When I opened the distal canal, you can see a lot of inflammatory exudate coming out. So do not venture into using sodium hypochlorite to start with if you see the inflammatory exudate or frank pus coming out. Let it ooze out, you clean it with normal saline. And the beauty of this case is because you will see a heartbeat into this tooth. Since the lesion is close approximation with inferior alveolar nerve canal, you will see that pulsating discharge. So with every heartbeat, the inflammatory exudate is coming out. And if you notice, I haven't opened mesiobuccal and mesiolingual as yet. And I did not, because the lesion was associated only with the distal root. And it was a huge lesion. So till the time the exudate is coming out, I'm going to use only normal saline. And when the straw colored or clear fluid starts coming out, then only I'm going to use my disinfecting solutions. So you can see that pulsating discharge. And of course, these cases may take longer and more number of visits, but the criteria, the clinical criteria for such cases is, if you get the canal dry, forget about the size of the lesion, go ahead with the obturation and it will heal. The only criteria is of having the canals dry. That's the clinical criteria, and that will allow you to decide when to obturate. Because in many young clinicians' mind, they have a confusion looking at the size of the lesion, and they say, oh my god, now when do I close the tooth? But yes, the answer is, if you can, on whichever visit the canals are dry, you pack the tooth. Of course, you have to follow a protocol which we just discussed of irrigation and disinfection, and using the right choice of irrigants, choosing a right strategy to disinfect the root canal system. And then you can see here now the exudate is still coming out, and then we start irrigating and use hypochlorite. And now you can see here that a follow-up of that case, the entire lesion is completely healed. So if you have strategy in place, you can take up these cases. This also case which I showed you earlier, that periradicular lesion, indicative of apical, a split or an extra root. This is a two rooted premolar and a huge lesion with the strategy which we discussed, and it works. Yes, the lesion is healed. And many of us must be thinking that these are some of the strategies, but do they really work? Yes, this is an evidence base. It works. This also case I showed you, periradicular lesion, and you have an apical split here. Of course, there is some sealer in periradicular region, but that was beyond my control, that the empty space can have sealer filled up unintentionally. But I did that in 2019, 2021, no sealer. The sealer is resolved, but the lesion is healed. So even if the sealer is still there and the lesion heals, I am happy and the patient is happy. So the criteria is the lesion should heal. That's the only criteria. And this is where you can upgrade yourself if you are doing only cold lateral compaction. The COXO has the C-Fill Mini, which is an excellent device. You can use this for intracanal heating also. So such cases also you can confidently handle. Now look at this case where you have a furcation lesion here, a periapical lesion here, and then you have a strategy in place whether you are going to use only activation or use apical negative pressure or intracanal heating. So there is no one strategy which will work for you. You may have to combine one or two strategies together to have these kind of healing consistently and predictably. As you can see, patient came with the intraoral draining sinus and it disappeared the next visit. So activation of irrigants in whichever way you feel comfortable, or whatever the situation demands, you should be doing it. And then this is one of the product which I really love, C Hunter, which is used for diagnosing the active carious lesions, which we use in the caries indicator dye, but this is instant way of finding out the active lesions, carious lesions beneath the fillings, or the cracks, the micro cracks, which is very interesting. Normally we use the light cure light, but that's quite a scatter light. This is very small and tiny, where you can actually diagnose a crack. And we all know that if there is a cracked tooth, the light will stop at the crack and the whole tooth may not glow. So that's the only indication as a confirmative test for diagnosing the cracked tooth syndrome. And when you open the tooth, if the crack is running on the floor, the prognosis is quite poor. And if it is only limiting itself to the above the floor of the pulp chamber, it has got a good prognosis if you do an endodontic procedure and a restoration simultaneously. So we all discussed about the strategies, that what works, what does not work. So to sum up the presentation, I would like to show you this video, and I think it is self-explanatory that not a single strategy will work, because if the sonics do not work, you will have to switch to ultrasonics. If ultrasonics do not work, you may have to use apical negative pressure or intracanal heating or have an automated device, but ultimately you have to score a goal. So depending on the situation, depending on your strategy, depending on your shaping ability, and studying the preoperative radiograph thoroughly, then you can have these kind of obturations which are which may not be which are the most difficult to manage anatomy, with lateral fills, with apical ramifications. And please listen to this carefully. This is not a style statement that I can fill the irregularities. You should be doing this when it is most needed, when you're dealing with periapical lesions. So we have to have a biological considerations and fill those apical ramifications and lateral canals when it is absolutely needed to heal the tissues. And also be aware of the variations in the anatomy, which will depend, where the outcome will depend if you study the preoperative radiograph carefully. So all in this presentation, we have discussed about what are the challenges on hand. We discussed about the irrigating solutions which are available to us, and then different strategies to disinfect the root canal system. So I hope you will take a lot of points from this, and it will be helpful in your day-to-day practice, where you can see the isthmus completely filled. Most of the cases, the furcation lesions do not heal because we leave behind so much of tissue or accumulated hard tissue debris into this isthmus region. So it's a fundamental step towards long-term success. So for me, coming to an end, endodontic equation: patency is favorable prognosis. No patency, questionable prognosis. So if you can achieve patency and if you can maintain patency, you are just there with a predictable outcome. And I remember these days about 2.5 years back, I guess, when I was at COXO Foshan, and I had a lovely chance to interact with the Malaysian dentist group. I did a lecture for them and a hands-on course with Dr. Ashish Karve. Mr. Anirudh was there too, and I saw their facility. I have been to their manufacturing facility where they have a very stringent quality control, and they make unique products. And I'm really thankful to Mr. Zeng and Asian for the hospitality when we were there. I really enjoyed it. And if you want to keep your mind fresh all the time, indulge into some activity. I do trekking, cycling, kayaking, and shooting very regularly. That keeps me going and keeps my mind fresh. So you can come back to from any situation and start working. So if you really want to ask me something, if you have any queries, there is my WhatsApp number mentioned there, and this is my email ID where I will be very happy to reply if you are in need. And to end this session, we really welcome to each and every delegate across the globe from Indian Endodontic Society, that IFIA, that is World Endodontic Congress, to be held in Chennai off-site, but because of this pandemic situation, we are again going this online. So we look forward to see you there for this scientific extravaganza. And with this, I think I'm going to stop here. And if there are any questions, I think Carol is going to take over. So namaste from India. Thank you.
Many thanks for Dr. Mandar excellent lecture. Now I will pick up some dentists have question because we have a lot of comment and Dr. Mandar have a lot of fans. Okay, now the first question is
how much
Dr.
irrigation is enough and
Yes.
what factors does it depend on? I think I clearly mentioned about it that there is nothing, how much irrigation, more the better. Now, ultimately, clinically, if you're looking at the clinical perspective of it, the minimum should be 1.5, that is 15 ml per tooth per visit. And factors that would depend will be the refreshment of the irrigant, the increasing the temperature of the irrigant, but volume and refreshment are two very important components of irrigation. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, and the second question is
Do you usually use EDTA gel and when? You will be surprised that I have not touched EDTA gel or EDTA liquid in past 6 years. So to start with, I use my continuous chelation solution, that is single step irrigation solution. If at all I am using EDTA gel, I would only recommend to use it during hand instrumentation and not during rotary or reciprocating instrumentation.
okay, next one.
I already answered this in my presentation that it is to visit endo, and I explained and validate or justified my reasons for preferring to visit endo. Do you want me to repeat it?
Okay,
Carol, do
next
you
one.
want me to repeat it? Okay.
Yeah, yes, I
Can
can hear.
we can okay. We can hydrogen peroxide is used for irrigation in apical lesion cases or not. Hydrogen peroxide is out of endodontics since many years. So there is no question of using hydrogen peroxide in whatever lesions. It is thought that it has got better cleaning ability, because of it releases nascent oxygen, but it lacks the tissue dissolving property. So sodium hypochlorite is the only answer for whatever lesion you have.
Okay, next one.
Now, describe your crown down protocol. Now, Dr. Rahul, I should, I would like to tell you that crown down, yes, we are with pure crown down now, but earlier the metallurgy was not so improved. So we used to use the conventional night eye. And for that to reach into the apical 1/3 for pure crown down, you would need coronal flare. I hope you agree. But now with the advanced metallurgy, like the heat treated files, with every company coming up, and SE profile are also heat treated. So you can actually pre-bend them. So coronal flare is now out in these days because you want to preserve the pericervical dentine. So if you are doing a crown down, pure crown down, then whatever sequence, whichever file system you are using, you should use it in the sequence. But now for me, coronal flare is out of the procedure. That is change in pure crown down. I hope
Okay,
answer.
okay. So this question is also from the same dentist. To
Second visit
ending,
after how many days?
yes, yes.
If you are dealing with a case where there is no periapical lesion, you can obturate in the same on the same day. If you open the tooth in the morning, you obturate in the evening.
Okay, the next
And
one.
yeah, which negative pressure system do you? I have invented myself the negative pressure system, Dr. Mahmood. So people will be using what I have invented and designed. So obviously I will be using that. And COXO is coming out with that system very soon now.
Okay. Okay, next one. How
The
long
how
do
long
you?
you keep hypochlorite in root canal? Yes. See, literature wise, we really don't know the exact time because uh, we have not been able to produce the same environment in vitro. So it is thought that 45 to 50 minutes is required for hypochlorite to take care of all the pulp tissue. So the irrigation, if you have read my first slide, the irrigation starts from the access preparation. Till the time you complete the disinfection, it should take about 50 to 60 minutes where you satisfy the criteria of hypochlorite being in contact with the root canal. So that is the time required. 10 minutes, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question.
Patency important for vital pulp cases. See, achieving patency is one thing and maintaining patency is another thing. So if the pulp, if the vital case you are dealing with, there is no periapical lesion, I would emphasize more on maintaining the patency because anyways 10 number file uh, has to go beyond a terminus that is 0.5 millimeters. But if you pack the debris during your further instrumentation, then the patency will be lost and then you will start working short of working length. So in either of the cases, I would advise that patency is critically important for all the cases.
Yes. Okay, the last question.
You can use isopropyl alcohol for degreasing of the canal. But the resin sealers are hydrophilic. So actually you need some moisture So you really do not want the entire dentin to get dried up. But if you want to use some degreasing agent, it is isopropyl alcohol, 1 drop. Put it in the chamber, it will evaporate and it will degrease the surface. This you can do it before obturation and also after the obturation to clear the sealer line on the floor for having more dentin for bonding of the composites for your post obturation restoration. I hope that is clear, Dr. Rajesh.
Many thanks for Dr. Mandar,
Thank
and
you.
we get a lot of comment and a lot of dentists say thank you, sir, for such knowledge presentation. Thanks, sir, nice presentation, very great presentation, doctor. Thank you so much, sir, for your great presentation. So
Thank
we
you.
get a lot of comment, a lot of dentists, they love your presentation. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
Mandar. I
Thank
hope
you.
in the near future we can get another presentation soon.
Yes. Looking forward.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
for hosting me.
Okay. Thanks for Dr. Mandar. Thanks for your time. Okay. Now I want to pick up one lucky person who get their lucky toy. Okay. Bye bye, Dr. Mandar.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye bye. Sorry. Now I will show our gift. Today our gift is Sea Hunter. This one Sea Hunter is already get the it already in Dr. Mandar presentation. So this one is for carry detector. Okay, now I will pick up the lucky person. Okay. Sorry. Eh，为什么那个 comment？ Hello, now we get the comment. 哎哎，等一下，好像这个题目按了，但是它下面没有。看，你看，something gone wrong. Sorry, this is something wrong with our internet, I think. So let me check. Does it possible to pick up the lucky person in this time or not? Get the comment. Well, today we have 57 comment. Okay, let's start. The winner is Ron Dennis. Okay, congratulations to Ron Dennis. Later, we will connect you to get the gift. Our gift is our carry detector, Sea Hunter. Okay, thanks everyone for today. Today is all for our. It's all for today. Okay, bye bye. See you next time.